As a Chicago native, it's heartbreaking to see the way our city is being portrayed in the media. The reality we face is that the violence in Chicago has reached record highs. Chicago marked 2016 as the deadliest year in nearly 2 decades. The city saw a surge in gun violence in 2016, 764 murders, 3,550 shooting incidents, and 4,331 shooting victims. The news and media tend to focus on the gun issues, the gang issues, and police issues, rather than the people who have been directly impacted by this trauma. Each of those statistics relates to a person, a life damaged, a life lost, and many lives forever changed. These lives are more than numbers. They are brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, and often someone's child. Halfstack wanted to share the stories of these individuals and offer some insights to the impact that gun violence has had on their lives. Many of the mothers we met whose children have died due to gun violence were not involved in gangs. Quite a few were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Many were not the main target and were often murdered in their own neighborhoods and died due to drive-by shootings or shootings aimed at others. The ages of the victims ranged from adolescents to those in their 30s, but many were just out of high school or in college. A loss is a tragedy, but a mother dealing with the loss of their child is heart-wrenching. It's a wound that cuts deep and one that never truly heals. While the gun violence in Chicago has no immediate resolution, we can continue to bring awareness to the issues the city is currently facing. We can no longer cover our gun wounds with band-aids hoping they will get better. We have to rip off the temporary fixes and get to the deep-rooted issues of rebuilding our communities and reconnecting our people. Many of the individuals the Halfstack team connected with believe that Chicago is a city filled with a strong community. They believe that the best way to overcome the current obstacles our city faces is to come together, to unite. We asked mothers, community members, and creatives to share their thoughts in an open letter to their city. These are their words. These are their stories.
My name is Jenny. I'm a senior editor with Halfstack magazine and also founder of Art and Soul. So the city of Chicago, to me, represents just strength in general. Like when you think of other cities that might be larger than Chicago, like I still find that there's really strong, powerful, strong-willed people here. And I kind of wish when it comes to Chicago violence, like that people would use their power to kind of do their best to eliminate it. After seeing a lot of the violence that occurs across the country and then seeing what happens here, I feel like there is bigger entities involved than just gangs and drugs. Like I honestly do feel, after hearing stories, that government might even have something to do with it. And that's kind of like a troubling fact. So when I think about like government entities that might be involved, you know, I think of the bigger picture, like how already the state of the world as it is and how little we are already trusting our government, how little faith the people like have in just the powers that are in control of all of these things, and how it affects cities like Chicago. You know, we talk a lot about gentrification and how that obviously affects where these disenfranchised people get moved to. You know, so what does that happen to our culture? What does that mean for our culture and for our people that have sacrificed and have moved here? It's challenging enough to find decent schools and education. You know, what kind of future are we leaving for these kids? If there's no investment in the children, like, I feel like there's just no future for these kids that grow up and find some sort of value in gangs and gun violence. Maybe it's pride, maybe it's power, but it's also the fact that what other options do they have? When we see the governor and the mayor talk about what where the improvements are, where the opportunities lie, and you see no action, I feel that that is only fuel to the fire. Like, that's only fuel to more rage and anger and gun violence. So I really think there's some true value in these community programs that are being built from the ground up. I feel like a lot of these pastors, aldermen, community leaders, social workers, teachers, I feel like these are the people that we need to invest time in. These are the people that have achievable goals for the city, whether that means creating more outside programs for children, investing in the arts and arts programs in some of these at-risk neighborhoods, talking, having conversation like they used to in the 70s in New York and the Bronx, like when they would bring together all of the gang leaders from all different sides and they would have a discussion. You know, what's the change, what's the challenge now to bring them together and have a conversation and discuss that there are some real problems? Because I feel like even them, as hard-headed and as difficult as it might be to have those kinds of conversations, I feel like we don't know where we can find that value unless we make an effort. And if it worked during like the really difficult challenges that the Bronx faced, I don't see how we couldn't make those improvements here too. There's just value in having these conversations and investing in these people. And also an insurmountable, overwhelmingly amount of prayer. You know, it says a lot when a local celebrity, like Chance the Rapper, like comes out of nowhere and just donates his time and money. Why can't our politicians do that? You know, we have other Chicago artists that represent the city that could use their status and ambassadorship to Chicago as a way to just open up the eyes of everybody in the country to see the issues that are arising in Chicago. How does that impact other communities in the country? I would really hope to see more advocates like Chance, local artists as well, to contribute to try and force these conversations to happen. I feel like there's impact in art. I think artists are very smart and like know where the struggles are more than anybody else. I would ask if they're really satisfied with the job that they're doing in Chicago. Like what was the ultimate goal when you took office? Was it really just to balance the budget? Or are we really just going to pretend like this gang violence isn't a problem, that these gun laws aren't a problem? I think hitting them with hard questions, thought-provoking questions, could at least get the ball rolling. What I'd want to say to them, though, is that the people of Chicago and outside of Chicago are watching all of this unfold and unravel, and there's strength in this city. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to utilize that to bring some sort of positive change.
My name is Roshetta Tyler. I lost my daughter Michelle Pearson due to gun violence. My daughter was dropping some friends off at home on 46th and Alice. A car pulled up and got the shooting. They shot my baby 3 times in the head, arm, and buttock. She was 20 years old. When they shot her in the head, she lost all her cells. She fought so hard to live. She has a son. He was 4 at the time. My baby fought 9 months and died. I had to lay my daughter to rest on her 21st birthday. The worst I ever had to do. I've been fighting for justice since my baby got shot. Now she's dead. I still don't have justice. It's devastating. Michelle is my oldest daughter out of 3 girls. I raised my girls to be the best they can be. I never in my life imagined losing a child. She has a son they took her from. He has to deal with losing his mother for the rest of his life. It hurts so bad. It's like I'm living a different life from everyone else. I miss and want her back. I did everything to protect my children. I mean everything. I still lost a child. I tried everything to prevent this from happening to my girls, and I still lost one. I'm so distraught. My heart hurts so bad. My daughter was killed for no apparent reason. She shouldn't be dead. She should be finishing college and taking care of her son. I need justice. I don't understand how a young lady that never been in trouble wanted to be a forensic science. And she said that's what's going to help her take care of her family. She just wanted to live and be loved. And somebody took that from her. I don't know what disease came to our city of Chicago, but it's wiping our children away. No mother deserves to lose their child under no circumstance. Chicago isn't a bad city. It's the peoples that's in it. The lack of communication amongst each other is causing a lot of dead bodies, innocent bodies, our children's bodies, mothers, fathers, grandmothers, and grandfathers' bodies. Our children and grandbabies can't even play in peace. It's people scared to come out their door. None is safe walking, period. They're barely safe driving. It's ridiculous. We can take back our city. We just have to come together. How we go build if we can't get these vicious people together and off the streets? My daughter's life mattered. Other mothers who lost their children, and loved ones' lives matter. Some don't have justice for their children neither. Something has to give. This has to stop. We have to come together, or we're going to continue losing our loved ones and more bodies. It's simple. Everybody is constantly worrying about the wrong BS. We need the most help saving our children. I don't want to lose another child. I shouldn't have lost my first one. We need help. If it takes the National Guards, then they need to come. Come on. We can take back our city and rebuild it. But first thing first, we have to stop the violence. We are losing our peoples. I am a mother that lost my child in the city of Chicago for no apparent reason, with no justice. I need justice. I need help, please. Why would someone let an innocent life be taken and don't say nothing? I need justice. I need help. Please.
Hi, my name is Beth Thomas, mother of Kenneth Anthony. I will be just iterating on how I feel about the gun violence and all of the senseless violence that's going on in the city. And I also want to talk about my son, Kenneth Anthony, who was 31 in 2014. So I lived in Chicago my entire life, and I don't remember it ever being this bad. I hear people saying that this is a beautiful city. I love this city. It's great here. And to some, that may be true. But there are some people really paying attention to what is happening in the communities. They're frequenting or communities where the poverty rate is high. Or do they even care? Probably not, because they most likely don't live in the areas of the city that are being hit the hardest by gun violence, or it hasn't happened to them or their family. So it doesn't bother them. The part of the city that I am talking about is being kept from tourists, This is the part of the city where I see a liquor store on almost every corner. This is a part of the city that houses some of the largest food deserts in the city. Only small convenience stores that don't sell healthy foods are found here. And this is the part of the city where you frequently hear gunshots ringing out, or drive down the street and see yellow tape and red tape. You see it up like it's a normal thing. Now, that's the Chicago I know, and that's just a small part of what happens here, which leads to my story. On May 24th, 2014, my son was brutally murdered in the city of Chicago. Every day, I asked myself why. He was waiting on a friend to come from a store so that he could go home and begin to celebrate the holiday. He never got a chance to celebrate that holiday. Someone who didn't know how to settle their differences with another individual decided to come to this store and shoot up the place. Just shoot it up. And my son suffered the ultimate consequences to this monster decision. I don't know what motivates these people to do things like this, but what I do know is my child never messed with anyone. He always made people laugh. He loved life. My son was beginning a new job the very next week and was enrolled in college. His classes started the next month. In a blink of the eye, my son's future was taken away. He didn't deserve to die that way. That day has affected me and my grandkids drastically. When Kenny's life ended, part of my life ended too. He was my only child. My son was a son, a father, a nephew, a friend to so many people. His murder broke not only my heart, but his children's heart and their mother's heart. Have you ever had to look in the eyes of a child who lost a parent and try to explain why it happened when deep down you know it didn't have to happen? That's a tough battle to fight. My grandchildren are still as king 3 years later. Why did my daddy die? Why did that man kill my daddy? Their little hearts are broken forever. These children were traumatized and will be that way for the rest of their lives. They have endured counseling, breakdowns at school, breakdowns that have forced them to miss school, crying themselves to sleep at night, and sadly having to watch other children around them with their fathers. I had to watch my grandson walk across the stage at his 8th grade graduation and deal with the fact that his father wasn't there. I had to watch my granddaughter's godfather take her to father and daughter dance day. To fight back the tears, just because my son should have been there with her and him. I have to deal with holidays without him and go above and beyond to ensure that the smiles were on those little faces and that they didn't focus on the fact that their father was missing. There isn't much you can tell a young child about their dad not coming back. They are saying things like, I need my daddy, or I'll never see him again. Who's going to protect me now? The people who think it's so great here must have not had the front row to pain and grief that I've had. With murders happening daily, I repeat, daily, it's only getting worse. Just this week, my son's best friend passed away from the violence of Chicago. It's affecting so many people, and so many people are hurting. The city officials need to do better to solve these killings and shootings. There needs to be unity and serious laws to begin. When the mayor's son was robbed, the robber was quickly caught. When the police officer's son was killed, the killer was caught. Part of the issue is allowing so many unsolved murders, and all of these murders are being allowed to strike again and again. But we can find the offenders when it happens to a city official. That shows that we need more detectives and investigators out there who care about all of these murders and work diligently to solve them. It is totally a shame how I pass by many nice parks with everything a child could dream to have in a park. But all of these parks seem to be empty. No children. Because they are at home where it is safe. It is sad that Chicago's children's childhood is being taken away. Something has to be done. And to end my letter, my pain feels as fresh as it did the day the tragedy happened. It still feels like it happened yesterday. I can only hope and pray that the city officials do their part in this quickly and help parents and organizations find solutions to end this horrific nightmare before it travels their way and they feel the pain that I feel daily. I don't wish this on anyone, but these people who are out here taking lives, don't care about anyone, and will eventually move to other areas of the city. I don't want any parent or sibling, child, friend, etc. to ever have to endure what I have since this happened to me. And I suffer from depression. But now, it's been 3 years, and I'm trying to, to get it back together. I've been attending support groups and have recently enrolled in school. I just can't give up. I'm looking into starting my own organization and foundation in my son's name, Kenneth Anthony. I just refuse to let my son die in vain.
My name is Barrett Keithley, and I'm an artist. I like to fancy myself as an artist of like all kinds. I practice my art in my studio. It's a home studio. So I used to live on the south side, 112th and Bishop. I just moved to the west side. So I'm a south side brother living on the west side. It's been interesting because where I live on the west side now is pretty similar to where I lived in the 100s. Like right in the middle of like where things are kind of like shaky, but also depending on what block you go down, it's nice and bougie. I think gentrification done right is a positive thing. But just like that's like with any type of energy, it can go either way. It can go negative, it can go positive. The thing is I do like about gentrification is that it brings different groups of people together that otherwise wouldn't connect. For example, like they tore down the projects, they started building up $1 million homes and condos, like Stateway, Ivy Wells, Community Green, stuff like that. A lot of people were displaced, and that's the negative part about it, that people are being displaced, getting, uprooted from their houses. And the positive side of it was that, okay, those who were able to stay are now being able to see the diversification that comes with Chicago. Because, Chicago is very segregated. And for the most part, if you're not living like downtown or like kind of like the north side area, you don't really see that, that diversity. I know me personally growing up on the south side, I didn't see a lot of diversity. So it's like you can see all these different cultures, and I think, like I said, if gentrification was done right, it can really break down like the fears that people have, because a lot of people are just ignorant of these cultures. I know when I was growing up, even with black folks, we'd be like, we have our certain stigmas about white folks, Latinos, but at the end of the day, it was all ignorance. No one had a clear-cut understanding of who the other person was. It wasn't until I was like 18 when I was able to travel downtown by myself, and I was able to just see all these different cultures and walks of life just like everywhere, like all around downtown. I'm just looking like, man, this is exotic. Like, these people are so beautiful, and it was reciprocated. They would tell me I'm beautiful. I'm just like, oh, thank you. I'm just, bless you. And if people are able to, see the beauty in everybody, there wouldn't be any type of neo-Nazis. Charlottesville wouldn't be happening, but at the end of the day, it is happening, and I think it's important for us to realize that, one, we have to accept what's going on, because I think a lot of people try to just ignore it, pretend like it doesn't happen, just like the violence in Chicago. Some people just want to live a peaceful life and be ignorant of the fact that there is calamity and disparity going on. I personally think Chicago is a beautiful place. Growing up in my contextual environment, I saw a lot of violence, but I also saw a lot of love in in those communities where there are a lot of violence, there's also a lot of love. It just isn't shown, and there's also a lot of camaraderie. Even with the gangs, a lot of guys grouping up together and just doing what they think is right. A lot of people are doing what they think is right. These kids are killing, it sounds weird, but they think it's right because they haven't been shown another light. They've only been shown one side of the coin, not knowing there's the other side of the coin. I know that they can make a living and not have to sell drugs or do anything illegal. They can make a lot of money doing something positive, doing something illegal, following their hearts, following their passions. But as the saying goes, you get them young, you can teach a kid anything. Unfortunately, these kids, because they don't have the right proper guidance. The first thing kids need is attention. If kids aren't getting enough attention, then what you expect is going to happen. They're going to seek it somewhere. When they find it, it could be for anything. They let a rock talk to a kid long enough. It has become a rock. But unfortunately, in the corners, it's not rocks. It's people selling rocks. It's people selling drugs. So they can become that. They become killers instead of becoming doctors. They become gang bangers instead of becoming lawyers. It's all these things coupled together that makes a kid think that it has to become a certain way. When in reality, it can be anything. Even when they reach adulthood, they can still have a chance to become whatever they want. But if their mind, body, and soul has already been tainted by darkness, that's what they continue to do. It has to do with the way that the city budgets its money. So it is something that's systematic and it's so deep rooted too. Given our country's history with how they treat people of color. So our own selves are dealing with the traumas that our ancestors have felt. It doesn't go away overnight. It's been scientifically proven that cells can hold memory. Our ancestors that experienced a lot of trauma in their lives kind of it transforms into us now. And if we don't have the right therapeutic ways of dealing with trauma, then it just plays itself out in negative ways instead of people learning how to cope in positive ways. That's what we see with a lot of our kids. A lot of dads aren't around because in the past that's how it was deemed appropriate. Some of this stuff starts from slavery, starts with just like I said, a system just eaten up by men. Back in the 90s when there was a lot of kids, a lot of young men going to jail, it has to deal with it. A lot of guys don't know how to be fathers, don't know how to be good partners in relationships. People are scared. I feel like everybody is scared and people don't have balls enough or just courage enough to say that they're scared. In a society where everything is marketed, our lifestyles are marketed to us. Accepted, unknowingly, of course. Violence is being marketed to our kids. They see it through the video games, they see it through the TV shows, they see it through cartoons. You don't have anybody telling them, hey, this isn't real, this is just entertainment. But it's all they show. They show another person getting killed, another person getting shot. Oh, look at this kitty playing with a piece of yarn. It's a lot of violence and then a lot of just frivolous stuff. They don't show people that out here in the community is doing something. They don't show dancing or not. A group of people that's going out dancing on 7th Street. They don't show that stuff. They don't show people walking against and all of this stuff is doing is just making our attention tune more and more into violence. And the more we put our attention towards something, the more we attract it to ourselves. But if they were showing a lot more love, a lot more peace, a lot more care, a lot more joy, the cartoons, the movies, the TV shows, the media, everything, the internet, then I really feel like it wouldn't be a lot of as much violence. And it's happening so rapidly with kids because, again, parents aren't home. Or the parents are there and they're tired because they gotta work a bunch of jobs. Or you don't give a shit. And so these kids, again, are left to their own devices. They gotta get attention from somewhere. Find it where they can get it. I feel like what we can do is do the same thing that is being done to us. Market ourselves. do it in a way in which we're showing the positive things that we're doing, like this. We're showing, we're bringing presence to the violence, but we're showing like how it's affecting people, people who are who've been affected by it, like people who are doing something positive like that. So we gotta market the love that's in the community. We gotta show that, hey, okay, yeah, this violence happens, but there's also kids playing basketball. There's also kids having fun, playing tag. We gotta show a lot of that. As for as much as the media shows violence, is that on the underground tip, we gotta show a lot of like love and happiness, a lot of movement. In the hood, there's not gunshots and violence and killings every day in the hood. But the media have you believe that though, because that's what the media wants you to see. They want people to be in fear. When people are afraid, that's the easy way for them to get manipulated. Because we're afraid. When we're afraid, we easy just like we want people to come in and just save us. But we gotta do more than just be afraid. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to have that emotion, but once you realize that you're afraid, you gotta have enough courage for yourself to be like, okay, I'm gonna do something. What we can do is that if you're a mother or a father, the best thing you can do is raise your child. The best way you can. That's a revolution. Raising your child properly, that's a revolution. If you're not a mother and child, your auntie or uncle, go pick up your nieces and nephews, show them how to, show them positive ways to live and walk through life. If you're neither of those things, you see a kid in the corner, talk to them. These kids, they want to learn. I know this because I talk to them, but they want to learn. It's not that they don't want to learn. It's just that they're learning and getting their information. They're getting fed by the wrong source. Or they're being fed mentally, spiritually, and emotionally from a different source. They wouldn't be doing the shit they're doing. They would be in school learning. If they don't want to be in school, they'll pick up a trade. If they don't want to pick up a trade, they'll learn how to draw, how to paint or something. Or they'll do something positive. It doesn't have to be school related necessarily, but it'll be something more constructive than just hanging on the corner. And they're bored. They're bored on the corner. That's why a lot of violence happens. They're also bored. They don't ever sit on the corner every day. Every human instinctually wants to do something more with their lives. And the world, the universe has to move, whether it be in a negative way or positive way. It has to keep growing. And there's growth even within negative forces. So, you start on this level, you end up, you start as a just kid serving, just pickpocketing people, and you end up killing. Because that's growth. Because as humans, we gotta grow. Somehow, some way, we have to find a way to interrupt that negative pattern. Take your ego out of the situation and think about the other person. Think about this kid. The kids really are the future. You can't get wrapped up in what we're doing that we can't see. Like, there's a kid crying in the corner. A kid, just angry. Why is this 12-year-old? What in the world does a 12-year-old have to be so angry about? Riding CTA, talk to them. Even if you don't want to talk to them, just sit next to them. Just show attention. Kids, they just need attention. They need positive attention. But they need a lot because they're kids. That's how you grow.
My name is Joanna Galmanico. I'm the trauma program coordinator at Mount Sinai Hospital on the west side of Chicago. So mainly what I do is I oversee the trauma program. We take care of the trauma patients, and I make sure from they enter the ED all throughout their discharge, I'm monitoring their care. There are other aspects to my job. Another aspect of my job is also injury prevention, where we provide education to the community. At Mount Sinai Hospital, we treat a lot of victims of gun violence. For instance, last year we took care of 900 gunshot wound victims. And if you heard the news, we took care of a quarter of those last year. So we're intimately involved in their care. They come through the ED as a trauma patient. The trauma team at Mount Sinai Hospital, this is their expertise because they've been taking care of these types of patients for a very long time now. Also, as far as injury prevention, we're working with a group called Cure Violence. So what they do is they provide resources to the gun violence victims. Not only that, but they make a lot of effort into providing them resources to go back to school, maybe get a job. The other part of their initiative is to stop the retaliation. So they try to respond to the hospital as soon as possible in order to stop that continuity of violence. So I think it is getting a little worse. The major issues with the police, conflict with authority, definitely I think has a lot to do with it too. So there's a lot of police officers who have verbalized that they feel like they cannot provide as much aggression and fears of being in the wrong side of the media or being exposed as if they're being over-aggressive. My belief is a lot of these situations are also rooted from poverty. A study that TUHI, which is a research group collaborating with Mount Sinai, they realized that a lot of the communities around us, they're very challenged financially. So those are the constraints that lead them to gang violence because it's related to getting money for their home and their families. I have to say, there's a huge impact on employment progress of the community itself. A lot of nurses who've been doing this for many years, they've learned to build that wall. They'll tell you that along with the firefighters and the cops that have been around the situation. But that's so we're not emotionally involved as far as taking care of the patients. It's kind of a defensive mechanism, so we're able to do this day in, day out for a very long time. But like I said, for the new nurses who are pretty new to this environment, they are emotionally and mentally affected. We have a couple strategies in place to make sure that they get help. We tap into our psychologists in the hospital in case there are nurses who might need some extra assistance as far as their mental health and emotional health, taking care of the trauma patients. I think the most difficult part is taking care of a pediatric patient. So when we get kids who are caught in the crossfire, or when we get family members or any strangers really who are caught in the crossfire, we really feel for those families because they're not even involved in any of the gang violence. The doctors, I believe, take care of themselves well enough, so they're able to do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at times. We have a lot of residents who are there also, and we work really well as a team. And so if there's a team member who we feel like is struggling more than the other, we're all there to support them. In my opinion, the gun violence in Chicago is really rooted in poverty. And I always thought this is not just poverty in education, poverty in work and employment, but also poverty in family support and community support. So I believe that in order for us to reverse the gun violence situation in Chicago, we really need to provide a lot of support in those communities, make sure that they have access to good education, have access to employment after education, that the families have access to help and resources when they come across financial constraints. And unfortunately, this has been going on for decades, so the problem has expanded across multiple communities. So as of this point, I think they need a lot of financial and just major agencies to come together and help provide those resources that I think they're very important.
If I could say one final thing to the people of Chicago, it is this. Despite all of these obstacles, we still have the power of choice in our lives. I don't have all of the answers to help eliminate poverty or to end gun violence. I know there is still darkness in this world, but I truly believe in the collective power of good. I know inherently the people in the hardest hit communities of Chicago are good. I know the kids wrapped up in gangs need a hand up, not a hand out. I believe that our communities can do good if we come together. The Donald Trumps of the world are doing a frighteningly good job at convincing many desperate people that other desperate people are to blame for the situations in which they live. Let's not continue to allow those in power to create a divide amongst our people. It's up to us to break free of these chains. It's up to us to make our world better. Chicago, we need each other today more than ever.